Hello guys, today I've got another very special guest with me. It's Tom Bellingham, the former of WTF1. Cheers for coming on, Tommy.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here. Always happy to talk about F1, so looking forward to it.
Yes, so do you want to tell us a bit more about the people that may not have come across WTF1 or whatever you do? I mean, I doubt that anybody doesn't know what you're known for, but for those of you that may not know what you do, so do you just want to tell them a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a very lucky Formula One nerd that loves Formula One and just set up a website for a bit of fun, and it got massively out of hand, became my full-time job. People seem to really like it. Some people don't, but that's not a problem. And yeah, we've been doing it I've been doing it for 10 years now. It's the 10th anniversary this year. So I've dedicated a lot of my life to WTF1 and Formula One, but that is a very good thing because it's something I've loved since I was a kid. So yeah, we do podcasts, videos. Obviously, people might have seen the one you did with Matt. He's our presenter, and does all sorts of videos as well. So yeah.
Yes. So for starters, how long have you been watching Formula One?
I've been watching since 1996, which is quite a long time. I think people tend to think I'm a lot younger than I am, but I'm actually 31 now. So yeah, I've been watching since 1996, supporting Damon Hill, and I got hooked very quickly. I don't know. What about you? Were you the same?
I've been watching Formula One since I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm 36 on the 19th of August. Little plug, little date for if anybody wants to send me any birthday presents or whatever. No, I just love Formula One, and I've been a massive Michael Schumacher fan all my life, because I'm originally from Germany. So he was sort of the hero, he was sort of the hero, and I've been watching him ever since. And then but now I just love Formula One, and now it's sort of helped me out with my disability as well, because I suffer from cerebral palsy, and obviously I get some anxiety sometimes as well. But Formula One and the YouTube game have really helped me out overcome that. So I'm really grateful for Formula One. And
that's amazing.
Yes, and it's I started doing the YouTube channel 4 years ago because the doctor said to me, Raz, you need to, because I had labyrinthitis, and somebody told me something really nasty on the phone, and that sort of stopped me from speaking for three weeks almost. And the doctor said to me, Raz, you need to, I know you can understand me. Just get yourself a camera and talk about Formula One. So I thought, you know what? If I might as well start a YouTube channel.
Absolutely. I mean, the internet gets a lot of bad criticism sometimes, and obviously there's some terrible people out there, but in terms of like a platform, it gives people that platform to do, and it's fantastic that you've been able to do that. And it's a amazing story that like Formula One has helped you in that way. And even to a lesser extent, me as well. Like I've gone through some similar problems myself, and it's definitely when you can find something you're passionate about, it makes life a lot more fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also because with the lockdown, I mean it's been absolutely terrible. No doubt about that the coronavirus is absolutely bad, and my heart goes out to all the people that have lost loved ones or have been affected by it. But for me, it's opened up a lot of doors, if that makes sense, because I can't travel that well. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it can't be done, but because I can't travel that well, but because of technology now, and because everybody is sort of confined to being doing Zoom calls or Skype calls or whatever it may be, it sort of enabled me to do this sort of, which has really sort of killed my anxiety off. I never expected Met to, I never expected anyone that has come on so far to come on. You see what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, you've had some brilliant guests, and you're only going to get bigger and bigger and get more people on. So I think Matt said Martin Brundle next, hopefully. That's a
yeah,
dream. Yeah.
I mean, I've got, I really can't thank you enough as well, because I really don't take this for granted, because it's always been my passion to combine my love for Formula One, you know, with YouTube, and so how did you sort of start out with the website and everything?
Oh, yeah. Let me go back 10 years because it's a long time ago now. I so I was at university, and I just wanted to. I was doing music actually, and thought I wanted to do music full time. Some kind of like I did music technology, so thought I might one day want to do like record music and be in a recording studio. And I always loved Formula One. Ever since I was a kid, that was like my number one passion. But I found that I I'm not afraid to admit that I wasn't very good in school. Not naughty, not particularly naughty, just not very good at it. Not my thing. Kind of writing and textbooks and all that kind of thing. I much more prefer being creative and stuff. So I ended up setting up WTF1 just as a way that I could share how much I love Formula One and have like a Formula One thing. It was never meant to be. I never could have dreamed that it would be a job, but it was just something that I could put online and show everyone how much I love Formula One, like your YouTube. And it's been, and then people really kind of liked it because it was just me as a fan being a fan. And it's obviously quite a long time ago now when there wasn't really that many YouTube channels, particularly Formula One channels or even websites or blogs, where it was very much you would report on the news quite seriously, whereas mine was just cool. I'm a fan. I love this sport, and it's all about being a fan, and that's what people related to, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to it. So what was your first ever race that you watched on TV and also went to?
So I grew up watching playing computer games. I remember playing old F1 games and stuff, but I never really watched the sport itself. And then I remember seeing an advert for the Australian Grand Prix. It was on, obviously, that the Australian Grand Prix. This was when it was back on at about 3 a.m. in the UK. So I didn't actually watch it live, but there was an advert for it. And I seem to remember them showing the Martin Brundle crash where he flew upside down in the Jordan and barrel rolled. Yeah. And I mean, I watch it. I don't watch it for crashes, but I guess in terms of watching that, going, wow, that's spectacular. And young me saw that and thought, oh, I'll give that a watch. And it was like an instant thing. It was just, I was hooked immediately. As soon as I watched the race, loved it. And then me and my mum and dad started watching it as well. And then me and my dad went to Silverstone qualifying that year. And I went, I would have been, how old would I have been? So 7 years old. I had, my dad made me a Damon Hill helmet to wear at Silverstone out of like papier-mâché. And went to Silverstone and just been, hooked ever since from that season, really.
So fast forward like 10 years, to the so you started off as a fan, for a bit of a joke and a laugh, and then it becomes successful, right?
Yeah.
It becomes very successful. I watch it every day.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, I love it.
Oh, good.
One day I would love to make an appearance on your show. Maybe we can, because I found out that Matt is a massive Michael Schumacher fan, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's nobody more Michael Schumacher fan than me. So how about we do a phase like versus sort of Russ versus Matt. Anyway, so that's just an idea for you. But
I don't think I could cope with 2 Schumacher fans as a Damon Hill fan. We'd have to get rid of Matt.
I'm not that good to take this job anyway. So you started off as a fan, and then it became your job. First of all, what did you think about it, and what did your parents say?
So it got to the point where I was getting invited to a few events. One of them actually was at Sky F1, and I got to meet Martin Brundle and Damon Hill, who obviously were in that first race that I watched. So that was very surreal to be able to talk to them. And then Red Bull approached me about a job working on their website, and that allowed me to become freelance and kind of do and just write about motorsport full time. So that became my job for a few years, freelancing for Red Bull, and then just doing WTF1 on the side. And my parents, they were obviously extremely proud and still are. They have to kind of pinch themselves, I guess, as much as I do, that they and I imagine for when you've got kids or whatever, they seem to grow up really quickly, and they still see me as that little Damon Hill fan with a homemade papier-mâché helmet on. And now I'm kind of getting to do these amazing things and meet all these amazing people in F1 and go to races, and people watching me and Matt talk about F1 on YouTube, which I never could have imagined would be my job. So my parents have been very supportive. They went to a race actually one year in I think it was a couple of years ago now, and they're obviously kitted out in all the WTF1 stuff. So yeah, very proud of.
Yeah, I have. I did try and get hold of a cap or something, but unfortunately your store is closed at the minute. But anyway,
Yeah, we'll get something. We'll get hopefully get the store back up and running. Unfortunately, yeah, the situation is not
yeah,
great, so we didn't know it was going to happen. But yeah, I think we'd like to get a store
yeah.
going again, and then we'll send you some merch over when we
Thank
can.
thank you for that. But because now how did you feel like when you was like, because now you obviously, so you founded WTF1 and it's your baby, right?
Yeah.
But but then but then now you sort of because it's not yours anymore technically, is it?
No, no. I mean, yeah, people ask me that. It's a bit of a. It was obviously very difficult to let go of it in terms of control, but I knew it was the right step, and I knew, and I had there were a few potential offers, and I mean the reason I went with Car Throttle is that I knew that they believed in me as much as the brand, and the thing is, I could never take it to that next level because I was, at the end of the day, just a Formula One fan. I'm not a businessman, and I'm more than happy that I've been able to kind of. I've had the support from financial means from businesses and the owners that we've had, but it's been great that they've had the trust in me to just carry on doing it as I want to do it. And especially now under our new owners, I've had many chats with them, and they're just like, you've made this amazing thing, you just be you, do your own thing, like we can only support you on it. And that's obviously perfect for me because it doesn't feel like I have no control over this thing I started at all. I never really see it that way because for me, I'm still living that dream with it. So in terms of ownership, it's not really that big a deal to me personally.
So yeah, I mean, I can only echo that. Like your stuff with Matt and just when she was still part of it, and is absolutely epic. I mean, I'm not just saying that because you're on, mate. I really, I really do enjoy it, and but
Thank
you
you.
know, so what what's your favorite driver? Well, we've heard you're like Damon Hill, but
Yeah.
if I was to ask you, you're the best driver of all times, who would it be?
Favorite or best?
Like the the best of all times.
Oh, it's difficult because it's impossible. This is a really boring answer. It's impossible to compare like the eras and stuff. And you get people from different eras explaining who's best. For me, I personally, I don't know if Lewis Hamilton, if I can say that Lewis Hamilton is better than Michael Schumacher. It's so hard to compare, and there's so many different scenarios. And Formula One is a weird sport, but I personally, I don't. I think he's definitely up there. And I don't like hearing people say, "Oh, he's in the best car, and that's the only reason he wins," because that's a bit of an insult to him, really, the way he's performing. For me, I can only ever talk from my era, and people will always obviously mention Ayrton Senna, and unfortunately, I never got to see him race because he was before my time. So was Alain Prost, and I can't comment on Fangio or whoever because I never watched them race, and it's quite easy to watch highlights, isn't it, of a driver, and you can think,
Yeah.
oh, they're amazing, but it compiled in a 5-minute clip. For me, there's no doubt that Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton are the two best drivers I've ever seen. And I think for Lewis to eclipse what Schumacher's done, I think he needs that 7th world title, and maybe when the rules change in 2022 to win another year where the cars change and maybe Mercedes aren't so far ahead, I think that would seal it for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously a massive Michael Schumacher fan.
Yeah.
But now you work for now you work with WTF1 and you started that and everything. When you meet all these drivers, which I'm sure you have, does it still do you still get the buzz, or how does that make you feel now that you've done it? Now that you it's your job.
Yeah, I still definitely get a buzz, and I think that's very much a good thing. I think me and Matt have both said that we obviously don't go to every race, and for us that can be quite good, because when we do get in the paddock and stuff, it still feels really exciting.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to go into the paddock and stuff with drivers. It's obviously hit and miss. Like I still pinch myself that there's like F1 drivers that talk to me, and like Alex Albon came up to me in Baku, and I'd never met him before, and he knew who I was from WTF1 and came and chatted to me, and I was thinking, like, this is so weird that 5 years ago I'd be stood behind an autograph stand trying to get your autograph, and then he's coming up to me to chat. And yeah, I do definitely still, it's still a big buzz to meet drivers. There's people like Lando and George Russell that we've known for a while, so maybe it's a little bit different, and obviously we're very close with Jack Aitken, so they just feel like we kind of know them a bit. But definitely meeting like the kind of the Sebs, the like Lewis, Max Verstappen, people like that, you do get a bit like, oh wow, this is amazing. You still get that buzz. So
I can totally relate to it. I mean, it's like just give you an example. The last, when I first started this unplanned chat, Formula 1 chat thing, I don't know whether you know him, Mike from F1 Fanatics.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Me and him are doing quite a lot of we've been doing quite a lot of collaborations, and the problem was we was getting so much off topic sometimes that we sort of I sort of think, what should I call this? And then all of a sudden I just said, I called it the Unplanned Formula 1 Chat, and then I did two episodes with him, which was sort of unplanned, and then I had a couple of YouTubers on, and then all of a sudden I put this tweet out to, I think it was Matt, and I said, I know I'm just a little YouTuber that, I can't remember exactly what I said. And I said, and basically I said, well, I would really like to chat with you about Formula 1. And I couldn't believe, still can't, to be honest. I mean, even us talking here just now, every single guest I've had on so far, and in the future, hopefully, I don't take it for granted, and I hope that comes across. I really appreciate every little bit of support I'm getting, because it really does mean the world to me, and it really enables me to sort of not focus on my disability, because I just love Formula 1.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, I'm so, when I sent a tweet out recently actually and said about because I love to get more involved in the community and on Twitter and stuff. And I asked about, send me YouTube channels and things of people that I've not heard of, and your name came up a lot. So you're doing really good things, and I think the Unplanned Chat is perfect because what you mentioned about getting sidetracked and stuff, I think that's what people want to see nowadays, and that's part of, I think, why WTF1 has done so well. And the comments that we get are always that they like the podcast because it feels like it's just two people having a chat about Formula One. We don't have a script. We don't kind of really try hard to make sure these segments are perfect about each team and all this kind of stuff. It's just two Formula One fans having a chat, and that's what this is as well. And that's why I think it works so well. And that's what people want to see. They want to see just everyday people that love Formula One like them chatting away.
And I really do appreciate it. I mean, this means a lot to me because I when I first, because I'm still on benefits, because I've got disability benefits because I can't work a full-time job, for example. Yeah. But if what I can do is doing some 16 hours for a minimum wage, which enables me to sort of do little, which enables me to sort of get extra a bit of stuff that I need, like going to the cinema and buying F1 merch or whatever. Yeah, I'm not in it. I'm not in it for the money. I'm just in it because I love it. But it really does.
Always the best way.
It really does mean a lot to me, and so what was the first race that you actually visited for as a job?
Yeah, so it was in 2014. Yeah, 2014 Austrian Grand Prix. That was the first race I went to as media. First time I ever had a media pass, and that was very surreal. So that was through Red Bull. WTF1 was we still didn't have the YouTube channel at this point, but obviously we're very active on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. So people did know who we were, but this was through my freelance work with Red Bull. And I had, a paddock pass and media pass to work at the Red Bull Ring. And that was unbelievable. I mean, I never could have imagined that, especially that I had I didn't go to university to do journalism or anything. I would have loved to have worked in Formula One, but it was never thought it would be possible with my kind of grades and kind of the subjects that I studied. But it does just show that if you're passionate about something, you can really succeed in it. And that's, I think, what a lot of people like to see. And that first race, I remember I did actually I was very nervous actually, and that because it was very overwhelming being in the paddock and seeing all these people that I'd met on TV. And I remember one of the only people I actually spoke to was Ted Kravitz, because he was there. And the year before, we'd made a T-shirt on WTF1 called the Ted Kravitz Appreciation Society.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'm probably going to make an idiot out of myself here, but I'll go and say hello, hoping when you speak to someone, you're like, please be nice, because I've seen you on TV and I hope you're nice in person. And got chatting, and I was like, I just wanted to say that it was my wife or girlfriend at the time that made the Ted Kravitz T-shirt, the Appreciation Society one, and he actually wore it on a Sky show. And he said, oh wow, does that mean Tommy from WTF1? And I was like, that's me. And he was like, oh wow. And he was really enthusiastic, and he was telling me about that he'd bought the Ted Kravitz Appreciation Society shirt for his two daughters, and they were wearing them, and he was really friendly. And I told him that it was my first race, and he was saying all this, like, if you ever need anything, I know how daunting it is when you do your first race, and I'm happy to like help and stuff. So that was a very nice experience in my first race to get to meet someone and be so nice as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing a cracking job. Coming to the present, like coming to recent events. I would like your opinion on the whole, because I love Williams. Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Williams, and because at the at I wrote to Claire Williams in 2013 because I and asked her to how I can combine my love with my translation business, because I've got a bit of a German English German translation business, which I do.
Oh, cool.
Which I started off as part of the I'm doing the 16 hours supporting to make it work, but as I said how can I combine the two things? Yeah, because I really want to combine my love for Formula One and the translation. I mean, at the time, I didn't even imagine about doing a YouTube channel. Yeah. So now the YouTube channel has sort of become, I still do. If somebody asks me, can you do a bit of German English German translation or tutoring? I still do it. I would still do it, but now sort of my my main sort of my YouTube channel has taken over, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But coming back to the point, I mean, I wrote to every single Formula One team. Claire Williams was the only one that responded. Not only did she respond, she actually invited me to the factory.
Oh, wow.
I just want to, that made my day. So
yeah.
Now with the whole Williams situation, when the news first came out that the team was up for, that they was considering selling the team, I was sort of devastated, because you mentioned it before as well. I mean, back in 1996, when you was watching, they was winning world championships. So how do you see the current situation with Williams?
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Because this shows how much of a little Williams nerd I am. But I'm the same. Like I love Williams as well, and it's so sad to see them the way they are, because they're still doing Formula One. Some people would argue the right way, being an independent team, making all their own parts and stuff. And it might not necessarily be the quickest way, but they're staying true to what they are.
Yeah.
And it is a shame. It's a massive shame to see them struggling. But I think it looks like they're hopefully going to get better. I mean, George has been putting in some amazing results, and they've got him next year as well, and he's only going to help the team grow. I just hope they get through it, because of all the teams that could go, other than Ferrari, like for me, it's like Ferrari, McLaren, and Williams. Losing one of them would be so bad for Formula One, and it would be so strange for me to watch Formula One without any of those three teams in it, because they're they've been around since I started watching it, and they're so historic.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and especially because, you know, as you say, the sport, you know, they're still true to the sport, and I think, you know, like, because back in 1996 there was like winning championships in 97 as well, and
Yeah.
you know, everybody wanted, you know, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people wanted to drive for them.
Oh yeah, I mean, when I first started watching F1, 1996, that season they were the Mercedes of today, where pretty much they easily won the constructors title. The championship was only between those two drivers, and yeah, I'd love to see them back at the front, because they did have a little spell, didn't they, in when they were under Martini, where they got back to third in the championship, which was great. So they can bounce back, and I think they will.
Do you reckon Williams is going to stay as a family team, or do you think eventually you know, do you think we're going to lose the whole Williams name and stuff?
Oh, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because yeah, obviously Claire's like carried it on from Frank, and I would hope that they keep the Williams name, even if it becomes where Claire isn't in charge anymore and there's maybe new ownership or something. It would be amazing. Like, I hope Williams stay, because it's such a historic name. It would be so sad if they weren't in Formula One in some way. So I really hope they stay.
I mean, I have said in the past. I mean, I said 30-70. I would be happy with 30% for them to keep, to keep them, and then the other 70. The other 70%. That should go to somebody that really. It shouldn't go to anyone that is just in it for a quick buck. You know what I mean? Like, because I think if it's just anybody wanting to be in it for a quick buck, I think that would be wrong. I think whoever comes in to Williams needs to understand that what Frank has achieved, the legacy behind it. I don't know whether you've been at the team when I don't know whether you ever got the chance to speak to anybody like within the factory, or but from what I can tell they're like really family like orientated.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough. We went to do, and again, this was when you mentioned about, do you still get the buzz? When we did our podcast last year for the Spanish Grand Prix, I think it was, we had Williams kindly let us film it there, and we had pretty much the whole museum to ourselves for the whole day. And we got to record our podcast in that museum with all the old cars there, like Damon Hill's car. And I was just proper like kid in a candy store thinking, wow. I mean, and when you see that in the museum, it really does show that like a team like that has to stay in Formula One, because they have so much history. They're such an incredible part of the sport. Yep. So many so many amazing memories, so many amazing drivers that have driven for them. They need to be in there, and they need to be doing well as well.
So we go, so we all agree that Williams need to keep the place in Formula One. So
absolutely,
because there's been the news going around that Vettel might be heading to Aston Martin.
Yeah.
What I mean, like, because I I wouldn't like that.
Wouldn't like that.
I wouldn't like that because to be honest with you, Sergio Perez has got saved the team from administration, right? Without him, the 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 Force India or Racing Point wouldn't even exist anymore, and they've signed him for 3 years. I think it was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. For 3-year contract. Yeah, it would be awful, wouldn't it, if Perez went? And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Sebastian Vettel in the car, just not at Sergio Perez's expense. And I think a lot of people feel that way, that they wouldn't mind Vettel. I think Vettel still has something to give Formula One.
Yeah.
The Ferrari has, it's not been a nightmare. I think the last few years have been a nightmare. He's not helped. His kind of legacy of like how dominant he was at Red Bull was unbelievable. And I'd like to see him go to Aston Martin and be competitive again and still be in the sport because he's a great character. But I think everyone can agree that it needs to be in place of Lance. But that's probably not going to happen when his dad owns the team. So, but there is talk that he might. I've been reading things that say, at the end of the day, Lawrence Stroll's a businessman, and if he wants to build Aston Martin as a brand, he needs to put his kind of family, his son's racing career back a step and think as a businessman and think Sergio Perez and Vettel in the same team in Aston Martin would be amazing.
Yes.
What a team that would be. So I'd love to see that.
Yes, but then I'm going to put this to you. He only bought the team because to give Lance a lifelong Formula One drive.
Yeah, exactly. So I still don't know how I feel about it. I think from the talk that I've seen around the paddock this weekend and the kind of cheeky looks Vettel's been giving when people mention Aston Martin to him, and Sergio put an Instagram post about how he doesn't know what's going on in the future, I think that the Vettel thing will happen at Racing Point. I personally think never say never that it would be Perez and Vettel together, even though it would seem absolutely crazy that Lawrence would ditch his son from the team.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as 100% as people think, where there's absolutely no way that's ever going to happen. I don't personally think that that's the case. So we shall see. I think if it is Perez and Vettel, that would be amazing. I don't know if you agree, but that would be a really strong team.
Yeah, I mean Perez and Vettel. I mean to be honest with you, Perez, sort of. I think had he not gone to McLaren when he did, I think he would be in a very competitive team right now because he's not bad. I don't know how you feel about that.
I completely agree with you. As soon as you said that, I cannot agree more, and I can't believe more people don't have that opinion, because for me, Perez, he was unbelievable in that Sauber in 2012. He was getting podiums. He nearly won a race.
Yeah.
And he was probably, I'd argue that he was probably like seen as like in the same light that maybe someone like George Russell is seen now, where people go, he's a future champion. He's amazing. Like he's not in a good car, but he's one of those drivers like a Leclerc or whatever that's showing that even in a rubbish car, you can prove that you're world champion material. But the fact that he went to McLaren at just the wrong time, and I think people unfairly say that he had his chance at McLaren when they were good, but I think people forget they weren't good in 2013. People think in 2013 because they still had the Vodafone livery on it or whatever that they were good. They weren't. They weren't good in 2013. They were on their downward slope, and they weren't winning races. Like Jenson Button was in that team. He wasn't winning races. He wasn't scoring podiums. So I think that, yeah, that ended up just being a really unlucky career move for him. And he went to, because didn't he was part of Ferrari's young driver program as well.
Yeah.
And he kind of left them for McLaren. He could be in a Ferrari. He could have been in a Ferrari in like 2015, 2016. So
yes.
yeah.
So I'm going to put this to you. If Racing Point win a race this season,
Okay.
right? If, and a very big if, but let's say they do. Do you think it's like, because they're racing under a bit of a cloud at the minute, aren't they, with the whole investigation going down?
Yeah.
Like, how do you think? I mean, if it was to score podiums or wins, that could potentially. I mean, how serious do you think it is for them at the minute?
Oh, it's opened up the weirdest, the strangest debate, hasn't it? That Formula One, I mean, Williams, I can see why someone like Williams would be annoyed, because they make all their own parts, they do things the way they want to do, and then they see Racing Point, and at the end of the day, I want to see F1 as competitive as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not from an engineering background, and that side of Formula One is not really my cup of tea. I like to see the drivers going wheel to wheel. That's my favorite bit of it. So, but if Racing Point, like you say, get a win or keep scoring podiums, it really it is such a game changer, especially if it is deemed legal. I mean, McLaren, I think, have come out and said this is it risks F1 becoming a copycat sport and it losing that kind of everyone making their own unique machines of what they feel is best. I personally I would like to see Racing Point win a race personally, because I want to see new winners in F1 and people kind of, different winners. It's been too samey with Mercedes, Red Bull, or Ferrari only being able to win races. So it is good. It's just whether it's the right approach to do it. I mean, they have every right to do it. In my opinion, it's totally legal, because for me, there's absolutely no way that Mercedes have given them any kind of plans or anything, because why would Mercedes risk their own championship and them getting into trouble to help Racing Point?
Exactly. I mean, and I mean, this comes back to the point that I asked Mark Priestley the other day. I don't know whether that's unlucky. That's just uploaded that a couple of days ago. But for example, at what point, if you was sort of Ferrari, you was working for Ferrari, I was working for Williams, and we was going out for a drink or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And we just get chatting, right? We just get chatting. you know how careful what we have to be. Then, like, it puts a bit of pressure on the people that work at Mercedes and or any team for that matter. And like
Yeah.
how socializing do you have to be like before it can be deemed like, you know. So what's
Yeah,
it?
it's true, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, again, this side of the sport is a bit like having not really worked in the sport in that way. It's a bit out my knowledge, but I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
you see the paddock obviously is very close knit anyway, and you see a lot of people that are even in relationships between across teams and stuff, and you wonder like how much they can chat about it, even if you know they're a married couple and one's working for McLaren and one's working for Racing Point. Like they have to be like, "How was work? Oh, sorry, I can't tell you. We've created this super secret thing, and I'm not going to tell you."
no, but like but you know, you know, it does beg the question, doesn't it? Like,
Mm.
um, but putting on from Formula One, sort of, finally, because because it's the 5th year anniversary of Jules Bianchi, if I'm
Yeah.
not very much mistaken. So, um, you know, can you like what are your thoughts on him?
I mean, he was destined for great things, wasn't he? Again, we spoke about Sergio Perez doing amazing things in the Sauber. We actually had this conversation about, I'm sure it was on our last podcast, where I think it might have been, and this is maybe unfair to mention it, but I think it was maybe Giovinazzi we were talking about, and saying that I know, and maybe to an extent the Haas drivers, I know they're in a bad car, but the best drivers out there somehow manage to do it. Whether it's Vettel in the Toro Rosso, whether it's Sergio Perez nearly winning in the Sauber, the best drivers like Leclerc managed to do it. He managed to prove to Ferrari in the Sauber that he was great. And for me, Jules Bianchi was one of those people. I mean, how on earth he managed to get a point in a manner
Oh,
is unbelievable. They were so far off the pace. It was almost like a foregone conclusion that those teams were just at the back and anywhere near the points. And you get to a track like Monaco, where it's maybe a bit more of a driver's circuit. And he made that unbelievable overtake on Kobayashi. I'll never forget that. Like diving at the inside at Raskas. And he was definitely destined for great things. He seemed like you know, he was just proving himself to be an incredible driver, and obviously it's so unbelievably sad what happened to him. It was a massive shock because we were so used to people not dying in race cars. Like, I think it was the end of the Senna movie that says something like, "No one's died in Formula One from a crash since Ayrton Senna," and now obviously that's not the case. So yeah, it was a horrible crash, horrible day, and then obviously it went on for well, months and months of his condition where it didn't seem very hopeful, and he would have been in Ferrari now. I don't have any question that he would be, for me. What, do you agree?
yeah, I mean, he would definitely be in a Ferrari, and I'm gonna because he was very close to Leclerc, right?
Yeah, Leclerc's almost like carrying on his legacy a little bit, which is a very nice story if he one day becomes champion.
which I've got no doubt that he will.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would love to see it.
And I think had not had it not had the tragedy not happened, I don't think we would have seen Vettel in a Ferrari. I think it was always going to be Drew's Bianchi.
Yeah, it's yeah, it would have been amazing to see him in that car because, I mean, he clearly had the talent too, and I think a lot of Leclerc getting promoted so early was maybe down to the fact that they had a little bit of regret that they never promoted Jules when he kind of showed what he could do, and it almost seemed like it did feel a little bit like it was like, well, this guy's good enough, we don't want to make the same mistake again, and yeah, get him in that top team. And Leclerc's obviously shown that was a good decision for him.
Yeah, and but the very final question before we come into the end is, what do you think Sainz is regretting his move to Ferrari?
It's an odd one, this, because obviously at WTF1 we love our jokes and we love to make memes and stuff, and of course we're going to joke that Sainz now regrets that he's going to Ferrari, but I still think it is a good step up. McLaren have impressed no end. I think it's unbelievable what they've done in the last two races, but I think Ferrari will be back, and you've got to think that when it comes to 2022, when they change the regulations, Ferrari will be up there. They'll be well prepared, and I still think that however much McLaren are getting podiums and Ferrari seem to be in a bit of a slump, in terms of a future when Ferrari get their situation sorted out, whatever that is, and whatever they need to do to get back to where they need to be, I still think that Ferrari is a better career prospect than McLaren. So I don't think he will regret it. I mean, if it comes to 2022 and the Ferraris are still knocking each other out in Q2, then I will retract that statement. But yeah,
I'll get you back on here, and then we have the same debate again.
Yeah.
But it's been lovely to chat to you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Have you got any more that you want to tell the world?
Not particularly. Just I will just say that yeah, really like what you're doing on the YouTube channel. I think I'm sure you're inspiring a lot of people as well with what you do, and I think it's amazing that you're helping get over, like you say, your mental health problems with Formula One. I think that's a really great story, and it shows that if you're passionate about something that you want to do, this is very WTF1 as well, that it just shows that you can do it, and I think you're doing amazing things. So keep it up, and one day I'm going to watch your YouTube channel and you're going to be interviewing like Lewis Hamilton or something.
Shall I tell you a secret?
Go on then.
Well, that's one of my that's one of my aims. But
nice.
That's probably never going to happen.
You never say never. I mean, I said that I'd never ever get to work in Formula One and doing what I'm doing now. So never say never. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure it will happen.
And the other, cheers, Tommy. The other dream I've got is that one day I'm going to make an appearance on or any sort of filming, whether it's vlogging like this, like what we're doing over video conferencing, or whether we could I don't know whether it could be live or whatever it is, but one day I'm gonna end up on Sky Sports F1.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely.
And before that, right, I'm gonna take on Matthew Gallagher on Michael Schumacher knowledge.
Yeah, Schumacher quiz. Sounds good.
So we can do that. Let me know if you're up for that. Seriously, like.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure we'll make it happen.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna win anyway. Just.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
All right. Cheers, cool. Tommy.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Keep in touch, yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, keep in touch, and then maybe one day we can meet up in person after this lockdown has finished. Because
definitely.
I really would love to thank you in person, because it really means a lot to me.
So, we definitely need to meet up once we can.
Okay. Cheers for that.
All right.
See you later, brother.
Cheers.
Bye. Yahoo!